there are moments in life when the world feels heavy, when even the simplest actions, like getting out of bed or returning a smile, seem distant and difficult. In those moments, we might find ourselves silently asking, how do I deal with this? What is this weight I carry? And how do I begin to feel whole again? Today, we'll take a slow and gentle journey into this deeply human question: how do we deal with depression? Guided by the teachings of Zen master Thich Nhat Hanh. This is not a conversation of clinical definitions or surface-level strategies. It's a mindful exploration, rooted in compassion and wisdom, for those of us who seek not to escape our suffering, but to understand it, befriend it, and ultimately transform it. Imagine this: you've carved out a moment of stillness in your day. Maybe you're sitting on a cushion, or just pausing before a window. The world around you continues to move, cars passing, birds calling, perhaps a phone buzzing in the distance. But within, there's something else, a feeling. It's subtle, but unmistakable. A kind of dull ache. A fog that settles over your heart. A quiet sense that joy feels far away. Thich Nhat Hanh gently teaches that this moment, the simple act of recognizing what you feel, is already the beginning of healing. Depression, he says, is not something to run from or to conquer. It is something to acknowledge, to sit with, even to greet. Hello, my depression. I know you are there. There is no judgment in this greeting. No shame. Just awareness. Just presence. In fact, Thay reminds us that the most powerful thing we can offer our suffering is our own presence. Like a loving parent holding a crying child, we don't need to fix the feeling right away. We just need to be there for it. But this presence is not passive. It's not numb or indifferent. It is a compassionate inquiry. Thich Nhat Hanh encourages us to look deeply, to ask, with curiosity rather than condemnation, what is this? Where did it come from? Depression, he suggests, is often the result of the conditions we've been living in, the nutriments we've taken in, sometimes unconsciously. This could be the media we consume, the conversations we engage in, the unresolved pain we carry from the past. Like a plant absorbing water from the soil, we too absorb our environment. And when that environment is filled with fear, anger, or despair, it's no wonder that those seeds begin to sprout in us. So we begin to explore. What have I been feeding my heart and mind? Have I been listening to too much negativity? Am I carrying burdens that aren't mine to hold? What food, emotional, psychological, or even physical, has been sustaining this feeling? This kind of deep looking can feel overwhelming at times. That's why Thich Nhat Hanh reminds us, we don't have to do it alone. Sometimes we need a friend, a teacher, a therapist, someone who can hold space with us as we gently untangle the threads of our pain. There's strength in asking for help. There's courage in sharing our inner world with someone who can walk beside us without trying to fix us. And here's where Buddhist teachings offer a powerful map. In particular, the first and second noble truths, recognizing suffering and understanding its causes. These aren't abstract principles, they are lived experiences. When we see clearly what is causing our suffering, we begin to understand what needs to change. So what do we do with this understanding? We begin to change the way we nourish ourselves. Just as we would stop eating food that makes us sick, we begin to stop feeding our minds with what doesn't support our healing. We make conscious choices about what we watch, what we read, who we surround ourselves with, and how we speak to ourselves. We look for new kinds of nourishment, moments of beauty, the sound of the wind, the warmth of tea in our hands, the presence of someone who listens. Thay teaches that, when we stop feeding depression with its usual diet, it begins to weaken. Slowly, gently, it releases its grip. The fog begins to lift. And in its place, we may find something unexpected, a sense of tenderness, of resilience, of hope. This isn't a promise of quick relief. It's not a checklist or a cure. It's a path, one step, one breath at a time. And it's a path we are capable of walking. With presence, with patience, with a deep trust in our own ability to heal. And perhaps most importantly, we begin to remember that depression does not define who we are. It is a visitor, and like all things, it is impermanent. It comes, it stays for a while, and when the conditions change, it leaves. In the words of Thich Nhat Hanh, no mud, no lotus. The lotus, that beautiful symbol of enlightenment and peace, only grows in the mud. Our suffering, too, can be the very ground from which transformation blossoms. So the next time you feel the shadow of depression approach, pause. Breathe. Greet it with awareness. Look into it with compassion. And begin again to choose what truly nourishes your heart.